Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Good evening, everybody. Hey, how's everybody doing? It's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, the Let's Talk to Cutler vlog, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club. It's me, and I'm here. It's already the 29th of the month. Can you all believe how fast? I was going to say, try to put quickly and fast together, and it just wasn't coming out. But can you all believe how quickly and how fast the month is just gliding right on by? I want to shout out and just say, if you're stopping by, if you're passing by my channel for the first time, do me a favor, just hit your brakes, pull on in, stop giving about 1,800 seconds, because this channel is about motivation, it's about inspiration, and it is about just taking the time to see, how can I show up a little bit better tomorrow than I did today? How can I self-improve? How can I grow? How can I make sure that I show up as my best self tomorrow? Perhaps I showed up as my best self today, but I want to make sure that I do the same thing tomorrow. So I'm not looking at today as a flop or a failure. I'm just learning from the day and trying to see what lessons can I take, what nuggets, what can I glean from my experience today, and make myself show up as my best self again tomorrow. And we do this. We talk for about 1,800 seconds every Tuesday and Thursday. And we've been chatting from this book right here, When I Am Overwhelmed, How to Handle Life at Its Most Intense Moments. Of course, before this book, we talked about billboards to better. But as you can see, it is about growth. It is about examination and saying, okay, I'm going to some place that's called better. I don't want to stay here. I don't want to get stuck in a rut. We're going to talk about how to get out of a rut. I don't want to get stuck in a rut, but I want to make sure that I show up better, that I'm always growing, I'm always going, I'm always moving, that there is some kind of trajectory in my life that I'm on. There's some kind of path that I'm traveling. There's some kind of highway where I'm moving along. That's why when you see the virtual book club members show up, some may say, hey, come on, let's ride, let's get started, let's go on this highway together with passengers, because we are moving. And we're moving forward, and we're moving forward with progress. We're not getting stuck. We're not getting stagnant, but we're moving. All right. So then, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for jumping on in the chat. Make sure you say hi to everybody else while you're getting in the chat. But again, we are here because this is about us taking the time to grow and become better, and make sure that as we grow and as we become better, we're not doing it alone. Wouldn't it be a sad thing to show up to this space called better and you're the only one there? I never want to show up to a space that's called better. I never want to show up to a place that's called victory. I never want to show up at a stop called success and I'm the only one there, because I don't get to enjoy it with anybody. So that's why I've invited you all to come along with me. You've invited me to come along with you. So whatever space you're sharing, whether it's your living room, your bedroom, your front porch, your kitchen, your den, your car, wherever it is, I am thankful that you have allowed me to come into that space. So, hey, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. All right, I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs for just a moment. They're the people who usually jump into the chat and they're ready to go. Everybody's always very important, but I usually shout out the first 3 people who jump into the room. So I want to do that again tonight. And of course, I may shout out arbitrarily other people. So I want to say hi to Jet, our friend Jet, you all. Jet says, good evening, everybody. I love it when you all come on in the chat and you speak to everybody. I love that, because y'all know I'm from the South. And I say, when you come into the room, just say hi to everybody. Just go to speaking to everybody, all right? And then our friend MV, again, says, hello, everyone. So MV, we say a special hello to you. And of course, then bringing in third is Linda Martin, who says, let's talk to Cutler. Good evening. I love it when people sometimes call me Let's Talk to Cutler. But I'm so thankful to see all of you. And I'm always especially elated to see my wonderful dear friend, Auntie, from Auntie's Advice Channel for Women, who affectionately calls me Bishop. It's always good to see you, my dear friend. Listen, you all, I want to talk this evening about how to get out of a rut. I know we've been chit-chatting and we've been talking from this book right here, and I promise you we'll get back to it. I will do more reading from it. I'll get back to it. But for the past few times that we've gotten together, I felt impressed to just offer from somewhere within my soul some advice that I felt that I just had this conviction to share. And I want to talk this evening about how to get out of a rut, because it does not it has not it's not lost upon me that as we're going through life, as we're dealing with these sometimes these most intense moments, and we're trying to figure out, how do I make sure that I don't become so overwhelmed? How do I find myself not getting in a rut? What happens when I get in a rut? What happens when I sometimes feel stuck? What happens when I sometimes feel like I am that I am a victim of circumstance? Anybody besides me ever just felt like sometimes you were just a victim of circumstance? You were working hard, you were doing the best you could do, you were doing the best that you knew how to do, but while you were doing that, there seems to have been this force working against you. Sometimes it's not necessarily a force working against you. Sometimes it's just life happening. Sometimes it's just life developing character. But how many of us know that when life is developing character, sometimes those are hard lessons. Those are heavy weights that we sometimes carry. And sometimes those weights are put on by other people that we have allowed into our lives. Sometimes they're put on by other influences that we have allowed to come into our lives. And sometimes they are put on by people who trespassed into our life. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about, how do we get out of a rut? How do I handle those intense moments when I'm feeling stuck? How do I handle those moments when I feel like a victim of circumstance? And sometimes it's just a victim of circumstance. You all know from the country some year ago here, ain't nobody done nothing to you. You just feel like a victim of circumstance. You feel like every time I take 2 steps forward, I get knocked 3 steps behind or backwards. Sometimes I feel like life is beating me up and beating me down. And that just happens in life. And then sometimes when we feel down, everything is magnified. Everything and everybody is magnified. So I want to talk this evening, you all, about how to get out of a rut. I promise you, we'll get back to this book. And if you're interested in getting this book, this is my number 6 out of 7. This is my 6th book. Please go on over to Amazon.com, get it, and you can be prepared for whenever we come back to it and join the conversation. As a matter of fact, you can pick up one for you, a copy for somebody else, and gift it. But I am here because I really believe, that we're all looking for a space that's called better. I really, really do. And I'm thinking of one of my favorite characters who seemed to have somehow become a victim of circumstance, or just a victim of life, of feeling stuck. You know, for me, so many things are faith-based, but it is this man, blind Bartimaeus. And so I want to just sort of chat, and I may just use my good friend Bartimaeus as a point of reference from time to time. But you all, when you are feeling, and I want you all to chat with me, because I want to make sure that this makes sense. So do me a favor, do a thumbs up on the conversation, because it lets YouTube know that you like the stuff that this guy is talking about. But it also says to me that you are encouraged by the conversation. Sort of lets me know that I'm on the right track with what I have to offer you all, especially when I go off script and I start offering things from my soul. So when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling like a victim of circumstance, and you're trying to figure out, how do I get out of this rut? I think I'm going to try to post some of these, because I tried to write them a little earlier tonight. So the very first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is this: assume responsibility for your own life. Assume responsibility for your own life. Cutler, what does that mean? It means don't wait for anybody else. You've tried that. Some of us have tried that long enough. We've waited for other people to come along and help. We've hoped that somebody would come along and see that we are in need. We've hoped that somebody would come along and see that I'm drowning. It's just like a drowning victim out in the water holds his or her hand up, and no one sees it. And the person may drown. The person may be taken under by the waves. We've waited for people long enough. But let's assume responsibility for our own life. Why would I say that? Because self-preservation is the first law of nature. No one is going to love you more than you love yourself. Not anyone here on the earth. And you need to be able to love yourself, because if you want people to come into your space and come into your circle, then make sure that you are whole and well. So make sure that you love yourself. I am going to assume responsibility for my own life. I am not assuming necessarily responsibility for the negative things that happen in my life. So I want to be very clear about that. So I am not self-defecating. I'm not beating or deprecating. I'm not beating my self-defecating. Color, did you really say that? I am not self-deprecating. I'm not beating myself up. That's not what I'm going to do. But I'm going to take responsibility for making sure that if I am going to get better, it is because I'm participating in my deliverance. I'm participating in my success. I'm participating in my victory story. I'm not waiting for anybody else. They may come along. Yeah, they may come along, but I am not waiting for anybody else to initiate my success and my future. I'm just not waiting for that. So assume responsibility for yourself. Tell yourself, you know what? I'm getting up from here. I see where I am. I recognize where I am, but I'm assuming responsibility for my own life. And yeah, I've done the woe is me. I've done that. And perhaps that didn't get me very far. But even while I'm doing the woe is me, I am going to take responsibility. I'm going to assume responsibility for my own life. Again, because how many of us have waited on other people? And if we can be honest, you all, and this is a space where we can be honest, how many of us have waited on other people and the other people failed us? We thought they cared enough, that we thought they loved us enough, we thought they were concerned about us enough until we just sat there and we waited. We waited patiently. We waited hoping that they would see us, that they would come by, that they would attend to our needs. But that didn't always happen. So what are we going to do? Assume responsibility for our own life. And just as we assume responsibility for our own life, and I'm moving because you all know I'm only here for 1,800 seconds. Just as we assume responsibility for our own life, the next thing I want us to know, next thing I want us to do is this, you all. Believe that you can change. Yeah, so I've assumed responsibility for my own life. But after assuming responsibility for my own life, I have to believe that I can change. And that is important because whether or not you share the same degree of faith as I do, it is about believing in yourself. Knowing to some degree, knowing that you are connected to a source that's greater than you. You didn't bring yourself into the world, so you have to understand, you have to believe that there's a power that's greater than us that's at work. And because there's a power that's greater than us at work, you know what? Believe that you are connected to that. I believe I can change. I believe that I can succeed. I believe that I can be better. I believe that I can have the victory. I believe that I won't always be down. I believe that one day I'll be up. I believe that I will finish victoriously. I believe in myself. I believe that I'm destined to win. I don't believe that I was born to fail. I don't believe that I was born to waddle in circumstances and situations. I don't believe that I was born to live in the mud because I believe that I have value. I believe I have something of worth. And other people have tried to diminish that. They've tried to cause me to wear blinders. But no. I believe in myself just as much as I believe in other people. Sometimes we believe more in other people than we believe in ourselves. But not this evening, not today. No, I want us to look ourselves in the eye and say, you know what? I believe in you just as much as I believe in John, Jane, and Jim. And I mean that sometimes just go to the mirror and tell yourself, tell the reflection that you see in the mirror, I believe in you just as much as I believe in anybody else. So I'm going to assume responsibility for myself, for my own life. I'm not, and let me just be clear. I want to go back to that for just a moment. Assuming responsibility for your own self does not mean that you're taking the blame for what happened to you. I need to be very clear about that. Assuming responsibility for your own life does not equate to taking the blame for what happened to you. All right. And so then, after you assume responsibility for your own life, believe in yourself. Sometimes we say, you know what, I just don't know how to have faith in anything. But we do. McDiner, thank you. Just like you believe Amazon is going to deliver your packages when you place the order, you somehow have some degree of faith that they're going to deliver the packages when you order. You believe that when you sit in the chair, it's going to hold you. You believe that when you turn the key or press the button, that your car is going to start. Believe that what you are hoping for is going to come into fruition. It's called having faith in yourself, having belief in yourself. And then after you have belief in yourself, after you believe that you can change, after you believe that you can change, be very clear about what you want. I call it clarifying your goals or clarifying what you want. Clarify your goals or clarify what you want. So yes, assume responsibility for your own life. Nobody is going to do this for me if I don't initiate it for myself. I believe that I can change. And then be very clear about what you want. Set goals for yourself. You don't have to tell anybody else what your goals are, because sometimes they seek to sabotage them. Don't trust everybody with your goals. I'm not saying don't trust people, but I'm saying don't trust everybody with your goals. But sometimes there are goals that you set for yourself. And if you say, well, Cutler, I'm not exactly sure. I hear you saying clarify my goals, and I'm not sure quite how to clarify them. Let me help you for just a moment. If you're sick, then well is your goal. And that certainly could mean seeing all the medical experts and the medical staff and all of that, and then doing what you need to do, all that sort of stuff. Well, sometimes if you're sick, it's about maintaining your health. I realize that there are people who are living with conditions. That is not lost on me. I recognize that there are people who are living with conditions. And so sometimes when I say if you're sick, it's about maintaining your health. Some goals, if you are down, then the goal is up. I'm emotionally down. I'm psychologically down, and I want to be up. If you're feeling defeated, then the goal is to find victory. If you're feeling chaos, then the goal is to find peace. Set a goal for yourself. Listen, have a vision. Dream. Don't let people, I've talked before about dream killers, and I may have to talk about that again. Don't let people kill your dreams. And don't you self-sabotage and kill your own dreams. There's one writing that says, always reach for the sun. Aim high, aim for the sun. And if you miss the sun, at least you will be among the stars. Reach for the sun. Set goals. Clarify what you want. And sometimes you have to sit in a space until you realize, you know what, this is what I want for myself. And I'm not ashamed to say, this is what I want. There is nothing wrong with dreaming. There's nothing wrong with having a vision. There's nothing wrong with hoping. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with setting goals for yourself. We help everybody else with their goals. We help everybody else with their visions. Why not help yourself? And sometimes it is a matter of saying, you know what, this is what I want. This is the goal that I want. If it is an educational goal, then this is what I want. If it is a financial goal, then this is what I want. Don't talk yourself out of a goal before you even start pursuing it. May I say that again? Don't talk yourself out of a goal before you even start pursuing it. And don't let other people talk you out of a goal. Sometimes it is a matter, sometimes people don't have good credit scores. And they say, well, you know what? I want my credit score to go up by 100, by 150, by 200. And then sometimes because when you recognize where you are, you go, oh, that's far reaching. I just can't do that. Give yourself time. Do what you need to do. And stop talking yourself out of your goals. Am I on track? Has anybody ever, you were starting to set a goal and the goal looked so unobtainable and you decided you would talk yourself out of the goal before you ever got started? I know people who are looking to buy homes, build houses, looking for all of that, who may have been living with someone, sharing a space, sharing an apartment, having roommates, or just having an apartment and wanting to buy a house or build a house. And before they could get started, they set that goal in the back of their mind, but before they could articulate it out of their mouth or believe in it in their hearts, they had talked themselves out because they realized, well, that's going to take a long time. Everything takes time. Time is the most valuable resource that we have. Use it wisely. Clarify what you want and know that it is possible. And sometimes just say to yourself, I've got to do the work. That is why I say don't always tell everybody what your goals are, because they will shoot your dreams down. They will kill your hopes. You're working towards it, and instead of them lifting you up and pushing you towards it, they're killing you, saying, oh, yeah, why are you doing all that? Maybe you should just do that. No. Maybe you should mind your business. I got this. I know what I want to do. I'm just trying to help us get out of a rut so that we are not so overwhelmed all the time. Nobody wants to live in a state of being overwhelmed all the time. Let's get out of these ruts. I'm telling you, clarify what you want. Assume responsibility for your own life. Believe that you can change, that your situation can change, and clarify what you want. Don't be afraid to set goals. Not at all. Set goals. Have a dream, you all. Have a vision. And sometimes write it down. Write it on a Post-it, post it on a mirror, post it on the refrigerator, post it wherever you are so that you can remind yourself, I'm working toward this. I'm saving for that. I'm disciplining myself because this is where I want to be. This is where I want to go. And I believe in myself, and I believe that it's possible. And I'm okay with doing the work. As one passage says, write the vision. Sometimes write your own goals, write your dreams, write your hopes, write your aspirations, write them down so that you'll see what you're working toward. And then after you've done that, stop worrying about others. Please let me hurry up and post this. Stop worrying about others. After you've assumed responsibility for your own life, after you believe that you can change, clarify what you want, and stop worrying about others. Poor blind Bartimaeus, who was sitting beside the road. If he would have worried about other people who were telling him to shut up, be quiet, keep your mouth closed, he would have never cried out to the one who he believed could give him his vision. Stop worrying about others. Think about, even when I said clarify what you want, think about blind Bartimaeus. The Savior asked him, what do you want? He said, that I might see. I'm clear, Bartimaeus said. I'm clear about what I want. I want to see. And I want us to be oh so clear about what we want. Be clear about what you want. What do you want? I want not to be like this time next year. I want to be not in this circumstance, not in this situation this time next year. That's what I want. Why would you say, Cutler, assume responsibility for your own life? Because after he had sat there for so long, he didn't worry about anybody else speaking up for him. He opened his own mouth. Because suppose he would have sat there waiting for somebody else to say, you see, there's Bartimaeus. He's waiting for you to come and give him his sight back. No. Bartimaeus said, I'm good. I got this. I might not have sight, but I got a mouth. And I'm telling you all, when one thing is not working for you, something else is. I don't know where that just came from. I honestly don't. But when one thing is not working for you, something else is. Assume responsibility for your own life. And what's not working for you at that moment is just not working. There is something that you have that's working for you. Use what's working for you. Assume responsibility for your own life. Don't sit in the crowd. Don't get lost in the crowd waiting for somebody else to speak up for you. Believe that you can change. Clarify what you want. I was blind. I want to see. That's what I want. My credit score was low. I wanted to be up. I'm living in a condition that I don't want right now. I want to be in a house. I'm not gainfully employed. I want gainful employment. Clarify what you want and stop worrying about other people. Just some of us, we've worried about other people. These are dream killers. They are. Thank you, Linda. They are dream killers. Nikki, yes, ma'am. Believe that you can change. Believe that your situation is going to get better. Write this stuff down. Stop worrying about other people. I say it this way. Don't take their negative energy or their negative advice. We have to don't take people's negative energy. Don't deal with their negative energy, because all they intend to do is just zap and suck the energy out of you. Don't take their negative energy or their negative advice. I'm trying to help save somebody's life. I want us not to be overwhelmed. I'm trying to help us to handle those situations in life, those most intense situations. Stop worrying about other people. When you're in a rut, you've got you to worry about. You've got enough to worry about. You've got enough to contend with other than other people. Blind Bartimaeus sitting there, he didn't have time to worry about other people and their problems, and their baggage, and their circumstances, and their issues, and their conditions. He said, I got enough of my own to worry about. Don't take people's negative energy. Don't take the negative advice. Don't be intimidated or afraid of them. Don't be intimidated by or afraid of them. And then here's one I just toss in for free. Don't be manipulated by their fear or their discomfort of seeing you succeed. Do you know there's some people who are uncomfortable? They have anxiety about seeing you succeed. And so many times we buy right into that. And we cower in this humility. We cloak ourselves. And we almost shift our posture to where we fold in and we bow down. Because somebody is uncomfortable with the greatness that they see in you. You square your shoulders and hold your head up. And don't be afraid to recognize the greatness that is boiling up inside of you. Don't take people, and when it starts boiling, don't take the negative energy, the negative advice, their darts, their arrows. Because listen, you've got to know this, that there may be weapons that are formed, but they don't get to prosper. And sometimes you have to take the things that people say just like water rolling off of a duck's back. Square your shoulders, hold your head up, and keep on marching. Hear them, but don't be affected by what they say. See them, but don't be moved by what they do. Don't be manipulated by other people's anxiety or fear of seeing your greatness. People saying things to you about, oh, you think you're cute? Perhaps you think I'm cute. Oh, you think you're smart? Well, I certainly don't think I'm dumb. Oh, you think you're all that? No, I don't necessarily think I'm all that, but I think I'm some of that. Oh, you really think you somebody? Well, no, I don't necessarily think I'm somebody, but I think I'm somebody's. Have an answer for them. Come here every Tuesday and Thursday and see if I don't try to give you an answer for the naysayers in your life. Maybe one day we'll do a segment about how to handle the naysayers, how to respond to the naysayers. But I'm telling you all, stop worrying about others. Because you all are right, you're saying it. Some people are dream killers. Misery loves company. It's almost, listen, do you know that there's some people who will pull you down so that they can use you as a stepping stone? I'm telling you, I don't always know what this is coming from. Yes, I do. It's inspired. There are people who will pull you down into a rut where they are. They will pull you down into a hole where they are. Not just because in some cases misery loves company, but they will pull you down so they can step on you and use their way to climb to the top. It's called the crabs in the bottom of the barrel mentality. Stop worrying about others. Listen, you all, I don't have long, because here's something else I want to tell you. Not only do I want you to stop worrying about others, but stop waiting for the ideal situation. The ideal situation is not going to happen. The ideal, you're looking for the perfect time to get started. Well, I don't know when I'm going to start working on my credit. I don't know when I'm going to start saving for a house. I don't know when I'm going to go back to school. I don't know when. I don't know when. I don't know when. Stop waiting for the ideal situation. The ideal situation in blind Bartimaeus' life may have been when he had an audience directly by himself with the one who he knew could heal him. Maybe that's not going to happen. So guess what? In the middle of the crowd, he yells, "Hey, I'm over here." I didn't mean to scare you all. But listen, the ideal situation is never going to come when you're in a rut. The ideal situation comes when you're out of the rut and you can look back and see. Stop looking for a perfect situation to catapult yourself. Kind of like this. Many of us want to have an overabundance of financial wealth. But not every one of us is going to hit the lottery tomorrow. You know, if I could win $5 million, I'd pay off my mortgage, I'd pay off my student loans, I'd pay off my cars, I would do this and I would do that and I would do that if I hit the lottery and had one could win $5 million. Stop waiting for the ideal situation. Stop waiting for the ideal situation and build the ideal path yourself. Stop looking for the ideal situation and say, you know what? I am going to start right now. Now, when I was in high school and I was learning to type on an old standard Royal typewriter, you have to throw the cylinder back, you hear the bell ringing, you have to throw it back. We used to have to practice with a sentence that went like this: now is the time for all good men to come to the aid of their country. And well, I kind of left off the aid of their country, but I always remember now is the time. There is no time like now to get started. You all are right. You are right. The time is now. Right now is the perfect time. Stop waiting for the ideal time. Stop looking for the ideal situation. The ideal situation, the ideal time is when you believe and when you want to be better. When you want your situation to change. Doesn't matter how long Bartimaeus had been sitting beside that road. The ideal situation, the ideal time was when he believed that better was possible, when he knew that he wanted change, when he clarified his goal. That was the time. He did all of that before he ever received his sight. He started yelling before he received his sight. He said, I want to see before he ever saw. And I'm going to tell you in just a moment something else he did, because this is what I will say to you. Stop waiting for the ideal situation and then take a page out of his book. Do something bold and dramatic. He jumped up and threw aside his clothes. Why is that bold? Why is that dramatic? Why is that significant? Because if I can just use my imagination, I would imagine that his clothing, after sitting there for so long, maybe those were all of his belongings. And he took a chance on losing them because he jumped up and threw them aside, all for the sake of receiving his sight. He said, I want to see. He did something bold and dramatic. He did all of that. He yelled through the crowd before he ever received his sight. He said, I wanted to see before he ever saw. He jumped up and tossed all of his belongings to the side, took a chance and risked losing them just so that he could receive his sight. Do something bold and dramatic. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. And what is bold, Cutler? Starting. What is bold, Cutler? Believing. What is bold, Cutler? Hoping. What is bold, Cutler? Trusting. What is bold, Cutler? Believing in myself, believing and trusting that there's something of value inside of me, believing that I am worthy of success, believing that I am worthy of victory, believing that I am worthy of accomplishment, believing that I am worthy of better. That's bold and dramatic. Just believe. Just believe. That's how you get out of a rut. That's how you handle feeling like you are a victim of circumstance. That is how you handle feeling like you're stuck. I hope you all have enjoyed our chat this evening. I'm enjoying your comments. I've enjoyed them all. If you haven't gotten a chance to do so, please go ahead and do a thumbs up on the conversation. And I want to thank every single one of you all for joining the chat this evening, for joining the conversation. I know, again, I know we just sort of deviated from this book for just a moment, but I told you these are some things that were just bubbling up inside of me, and I just had such a strong conviction about them. Why? Because I've been chatting with people, friends and family over the past few weeks who have felt like they were in a rut, who have felt like they've been beat up by life, who are dealing with some things and it doesn't necessarily seem like time is on their side. And so I'm offering to you all what I've offered to people who are very near and dear to me in my life. Some of the same things that I've said to you all this evening, I've said to people who are like sisters and brothers to me over the past few days. Assume responsibility for your own life. Don't take the blame, but assume responsibility. And say, if I'm going to be better, it's because of me. I believe that I can change. I believe that I don't always have to be like this. Clarify your goals. Say to yourself, say to God, say to the universe, say what you want. Speak it. Set your goals. Dream your dreams. Have hope. Have vision. Stop worrying about others. Stop worrying about the fear of seeing you succeed. Stop worrying about the impact that you think they can have in your life. Stop worrying about all of that. Stop waiting for the ideal situation, because the ideal situation is never going to come. I've lived long enough. I haven't lived long as some of you are, but I've lived long enough to know that when you are in a rut, the ideal situation never is going to come, because when you are in a rut, you have blinders on and you see everything from this negative perspective. The ideal situation is never going to come. So do something bold and dramatic. Believe and just jump up. You may not even know where you're going, but just jump up. It'll startle the naysayers in your life. Because some people are happy with seeing you in a rut. Just walk out one day looking like $1 million. People used to seeing you with your head hanging down. When I got to go, but can I tell you all this? I would never forget when I and some of my friends will tell you this. Some of my classmates from law school will tell you this. One of the things that I always did, I would never forget. Every time on every exam day, I would put on a suit and a tie. Now, I had done the work. I had studied. God knows I had studied. I had done the work. I studied. I read. I did all of that kind of stuff. Got together with my study buddies, my study partners, and did all of that kind of stuff. But what I would do every time there was an exam, I would put on a suit and a tie, march myself right into that exam, and pass it. For me, that was bold and dramatic. All right. So listen, we've talked about how to get out of a rut. You all, thank you so much. Do me a favor. Do me this favor. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Keep your heads up. Keep your hopes up. You all stay safe, stay sane. And honestly, know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. May I bid you all a good evening, and I will see you Thursday, 8 o'clock. Tell somebody, come on, let's talk to Cutler. Good night.